Welcome to another episode from Free People of the Cosmos. I'm Tom Schaefer. Today I have a great episode for you and a great interview from Billy Carson. And I know you're really going to enjoy this. So without further ado, it's time for Billy Carson. Okay, welcome to today's show. I'm Tom Schaefer, president of Free People of the Cosmos. And I've got a very special guest with me today. His name is Billy Carson, founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.com. And we've got Billy on today to talk about what the latest he's got in ancient alien-related research that he does. And just happy to have you here today, Billy. I'm pretty much just going to let you take it away. I don't need to be the guy yammering on. I'd rather have you just take as much time as you want. Tell me what's happening in your world and a little bit about your organization and what you're doing.
All right, fantastic, man. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you guys for having me on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, I really like being on professionally produced shows like this. You have a great YouTube channel. I'm definitely going to share this with everybody.
Thank you.
One of the hottest topics going right now is something that actually occurred last night directly with me. Now, I've heard about it happening, but just through hearsay, and now all of a sudden it happened to me, or it was attempted to happen to me last night, was a hack attempt. Now, there's a lot of big accounts in the conscious community now, and conscious community meaning YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all the social media accounts, Twitter. We're making a lot of progress. We're getting pretty big. Right now, on my Instagram account, I have over 620,000 followers just on that one account, and I have so many. I'm probably totaling well over 1 million followers at this point. So last night, I get an email or a private message, a direct message through Instagram from a huge account named Dilute the Power, who's actually a friend of mine who lives in Australia. We started our accounts roughly around the same time in 2012, and he has 416,000 followers. And he contacted me and he asked me about advertising on my page. So I said, advertising on my page? This guy knows we just do shout out for shout out, you know. So I said, just send me what you want me to post and I'll take care of it for free, you know, no charge. And he goes, no, I have to pay you. Red flag went off. So I'm going, okay, this is a red flag. Something is fishy here. Let me just see what's going on. Maybe he hired somebody to work on his account. Guy wants me to go to this link that he sends me, this iOS Analyze link, to verify my Instagram account so they can see how many iOS and how many Android users they have. Based on that, they see how they spend for their marketing, and they want to buy 10 ads. So I go, let this play out and see what's going on here. So I said, well, send me the link. Let me take a look at it. Guy sends me the link. Turns out I took it to my other side laptop, put a foreign proxy in it to check out this site, and there's a phishing site that literally was not even hooked up to OAuth for Instagram and was just literally an account to try to steal your login information and everything else you have. So I go back and I go, hey, by the way, have you ever logged into this before? And he goes, oh, yeah, I log in all the time to check my stats. And I go, really? Okay, this is a scam. I exposed him. I said, look, I don't know who you are, but this is not Dilute the Power. So right away he got extremely offensive and said, you better not say anything to anybody, and Dilute the Power will never get his account back, and you won't either. And I was like, you don't have my account. So I exposed it last night. Unfortunately, they had gotten to about 12 or 13 other large accounts, just as large as mine or almost as large, and shut our conscious accounts down by hijacking them through this method. So there's a clear attempt. There's no money in this. So there's a clear attempt to attack large conscious accounts, to take over their social media and lock them out so that they can be obviously turned down. As and
the time it would take you to regenerate that account and generate that level of following would just be a huge mountain to climb. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah, man. So that's a hot topic going on. So I just tell everybody to please put double authentication on, and change your passwords to very complicated passwords at least. I change mine twice a day, but change it, 2 to 3 times a week at least if you're a big account.
Right.
YouTube, Facebook, whatever, just continuously change them to very complicated passwords, and use double authentication because they all have it now. Very
Absolutely.
Important. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, there's another area that I just got wind of, as you're aware of Corey Goode and his story. Mm-hmm. There's a new controversy that seems to be boiling out on YouTube with something that one of his volunteers was kind of complaining about, and I'm not sure what the whole thing is all about, but it's like this little distraction you had to go through yesterday. There's somebody coming out whining and complaining about Corey. And so it seems like there's a lot of impure vessels like myself that are trying to get the word out, where for some reason we feel this calling, if you will, to get involved in this at great peril to our reputations.
Yep.
And we're putting our names on the line, we're putting our reputations on the line, and you get attacked. And so that's not surprising. And I've heard that it's going to come as soon as you come out. And I have not been taken to task yet myself, but I'm kind of bracing for that. At some point, someone will call me. They'll say I'm ugly, and and I'm going to start crying. So, but I'm glad you were able to overcome that. And, so maybe go a little bit into the mission behind. I was on your site. It's a great site. You've got a lot of great information. I recommend everybody go out to forbiddenknowledge.com. Take a look at what Billy's got out there. And now, is it just yourself, or do you have a group of people? Or is it a group of researchers besides the other affiliates, or is it just yourself right now?
It's just myself. I'm the only one. The only account that I have multiple admins on is Anunnaki History on Facebook. It's a Facebook group with almost 70,000 members in there. And that is the only group that I have that I founded that has multiple admins. I'm sorry, no, that's incorrect. Anunnaki History and United Family of Anomaly Hunters. Those two have multiple admins. All of the Forbidden Knowledge content, all of the Wave of Action, and many other accounts that I have are all me. Now, I'm going to have to bring somebody on now that I'm starting Unite the 99. But my mission is really plain and simple. And people always ask me, who are you and what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Well, I tell people straight up, I literally feel that I'm a galactic agent fighting for the freedom of humans on this planet. That's literally
awesome, brother. That is amazing. I was just talking with someone this morning about that there are, according to some of the mystery school things that I've learned, one of which was this law of one, talking about people coming back, and that we are, some of us, and I have a sense that myself may be one as well, that we were incarnated here to help. Yes. And so that's amazing. Tell me a little bit more about that, how you feel about that.
Yeah, it's people don't realize the weight that's on our shoulders on a daily basis. Myself, you, other accounts like ours who put ourselves on the line on a daily basis. I've been threatened to be killed. I've been called all kind of racial slurs, including, last night. I've been attacked. It's just, people don't realize this is real for us. This is not a game. And when you have this level of calling in your life to do what we're doing, to help wake up humanity, because that's really what it boils down to. We're all using different vehicles to get humanity to a certain specific level of consciousness, and hopefully a critical mass where we can overthrow the oligarchy that we're under right now. But the mission is so clear in our minds. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. That no matter what, it's like we're driven. This is something that we're literally driven to do. Night and day and night. And I typically sleep about 4 to 5 hours a day. Sometimes 3 hours.
Same here.
Yeah, you know how it is, man. And we're just grinding, and we're trying to get all of our other work done, everything that we need to do to pay our bills and take care of our own necessities. Plus,
absolutely.
There's no money in this. I mean, it's peanuts what we get, and we'll never get compensated appropriately for the time and energy that we put into this. It'll never catch up to what we put in. So.
But don't you find though that for myself it really isn't about the money. I need the money to pay my bills, but this is bigger than the money. Yeah. I've been stripped down before. I've lost everything. I know what that's all about, and I'm still here. I'm here for a reason, and personally, I'm kind of new to this journey. You've been at this a while longer. When I first saw you on Sean Stone's interview, I had immediate resonance with what you were saying, just your spirit of who you are and what you're doing. I'm like, I got to talk to this guy. Yeah. And I wanted to say that I'm aligned with what you're doing. It's amazing. And I'm here to learn, and you're teaching me a lot. And
man, we're all teaching each other, man. In Lakek Alakin, you are another me, man. We're all together.
We're all little sparks. We're little sparks of the infinite intelligence. Exactly. My brother had a question for you. He couldn't be on today, but he did have a question for you. One of the things that fascinated him was the research that you're doing into anti-gravity. And we're both fascinated by that, because we all know between, those of us in this community, we know how revolutionary and how earth-shattering that moment will be when that's finally revealed. And I have another element that I noticed, that when it's revealed, there's another element that I see coming that will also change humanity, and that's this technology of replication. But neither here nor there. I'm more interested in your research on anti-gravity. What are you finding out? What's happening?
Well, there's so much exciting stuff happening in that field and that research and development that we're doing, because we're finding that a lot of the ancient texts really tell us everything we need to know. All the secrets of frequency, vibration, cymatics, auditive levitation is all now coming to fruition in modern science and laboratories in like Harvard University and Stanford University. So it's really, the veil is being lifted and it's being touched on now. A couple of people who were really ahead of their time that had come forward, had been suppressed, unfortunately. But now is the time when they seem to be letting us lift that curtain a little bit more. And the curtain, they're letting us get a little bit of a glimpse. For whatever reason, I don't know. Is this partial disclosure or allowing these things to be rediscovered and come out? But we really are making great progress in the research of especially the magnetic repulsion generator, which I actually built a very small one myself. And the premise is the reverse magnetic fields create spin on a core, and that core has wires coming out of it, and now it can charge cell phones, laptops, power a light bulb indefinitely. I mean, literally indefinitely, because it'll never stop spinning. And now the thing is how do we make this bigger? How do we get this to power an entire house? We found that the one that maybe 5 cubic feet can power an average American household indefinitely. No need to plug into any grid anywhere. What can that do for a third world country? What can that do for somebody in a rural area of Uganda who doesn't have any electricity? Now it gives them an opportunity to have power, industry, clean water, things like that. So it's just an amazing thing, man, that we're involved in. And the Mercury vortex engine research, it's really, we're going to be producing some real hard documents and papers on that. Now, it may get scoffed by the quantum physics community or the community of sciences, but we're going to put the paper out anyway. People can laugh, they can say whatever they want. There's going to be a lot of people that recognize that this technology is so real, it's more real than anybody can imagine. These torus energy fields generated by rotating ferrofluids that are electrified really and truly do create an anti-gravity bubble. It doesn't give complete 100% lift, but it gives a significant amount of lift.
Now, this is similar to or based upon what was in the ancient Indian texts in reference to the Vimanas. Is that where you're basing your technology on?
Absolutely. And I first heard about this, believe it or not, on an old Ancient Aliens episode many years ago when they first came out. These Vimanas, which were talked about in the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita. So I started looking into these Indian manuscripts and looking into the Indian Vedas, and I'm going, wait a minute, they even left behind flight manuals on this stuff.
Yes, it's utterly amazing that the blueprints are there.
Yeah.
And so this may well be, according to what we're hearing now in the community, about these TR-3Bs or these triangular spacecraft, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're actually using the technology. So this knowledge is coming back. It's all coming back to magnetics. It's all coming back to frequencies. And so that's exciting. Are you going to release this paper to scientific journals, or how do you propose to do your release?
Scientific journals and publish it online everywhere when we get done. We're going to let everybody see it and let everybody know what reality is, what true ancient technology can do, not only for us now, but our future generations, where this planet needs to go to sustain itself, and the human race to sustain itself and progress on a path that's not going to completely destroy us, but it's going to uplift, enhance us, and take us out to the stars. And I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the problem that we have with a lot of these inventions is that some of them seem to violate the second law of thermodynamics, and people, once that happens, a lot of the scientific community scoffs at it right away because it shouldn't be able to happen. You shouldn't be able to get more power than you're putting in, and you shouldn't be able to violate the law of entropy and all these other kind of things. So it gets really, dogged, by a lot of the mainstream media. But it only takes one of us to be able to get this information out and get one produced that could be showcased. And I think one of the most important things, to be honest with you, is to not try to actually patent it. Once you go, I
agree completely. Yeah,
done.
Absolutely. Well, that's the thing that Dr. Greer has been saying, and I know that he's come under fire, and others have come under fire. Other leading ufologists have all come under fire because we're all touching on these issues. But what have we got after 40 years of research? We have a lot of near misses, a lot of almost evidence, a lot of red dots that connect, but never have gotten to the ultimate reveal. How do you feel about the present state of ufology right now?
The present state of ufology, unfortunately, is controlled, man. At the higher levels, little smaller accounts like myself and Mars Moon Space TV and United Family of Anomaly Hunters, we're at the bottom, trying to climb up and get more exposure. But the ones that, like the MUFON site, Bigelow Aerospace, a lot of people don't know that. That's just one example of a billionaire who's into covert secret space, taking over the only site that was considered credible, well, not the only one, but one of the main sites considered as credible information for UFOs. So you see, what is the agenda here? So right now we're getting drip, disclosure, very, very slow disclosure, because a lot of the private corporations that are involved in private space, they want to be ahead of everything. They want to be ahead of the game in every aspect, and they want to be first. So what they're doing is they're putting the citizens obviously far last and giving us little tiny drip disclosures so that they can keep siphoning money out of the system by the sweat of our brow, but to push themselves forward and get way ahead of the game. And it's unfortunate that that's happening. It really is.
Well, it is, and it seems like we're all fighting up a huge mountain. I mean, I've got a small following on my YouTube channel, but it's nothing compared to it is. I'm barely scratching the surface myself, and I'm not a researcher by trade. I barely got into this about 4 years ago myself, and I've been doing a rapid catch up. And so I'm really appreciative of folks like yourself who've already been out there slogging it out. And I'm seeing this recent tension among ufologists, people scrambling because, like we talked about earlier, once you get out there, now your name's on the line. Now you've got to go all in. You're either all in or not. Once you're all in, then your reputation's on the line. And so now people know me as kind of a UFO guy, and it's I'm in. I got to stay in.
Yeah, you're in. Got to stay in. Yeah,
but it's a mission. I'm sorry?
On Wednesdays, we go live on Mars Moon Space TV Facebook account. We go live with ufology, and we try to show some of the best examples of what we think may be real UFOs, even if they're question marks. And we try to get interaction with the actual viewers and, let them leave comments in real time that we can talk about in real time on the actual live feed on Facebook at the Mars Moon Space TV account. So we do that, and like you say, you have to go all in once you start it because then you lose all your credibility and everything else. But it's also, as you know, a very tense and hard battle because you're going to deal with a lot of obstacles, a lot of naysayers, and some videos that you find and discover may be debunked later, may be validly debunked. But people have to understand that the process of ufology is not that we're always going to be 100% accurate. It's that we're digging and we're looking for those gems, those jewels that say, hey, this one's crying out saying, I'm truly a UFO. We don't know what this is. We don't know where it came from. We don't know if it's terrestrial or extraterrestrial. We don't know if it's secret space program, inner Earth. We don't know what it is. What we're saying is this thing is operating using technology that we, the citizens of the world, are not privy to and don't have access to. And this is a problem.
What's interesting is the technology is enabling just everyday people now to get in. I spoke with a friend of mine yesterday, and he has what he calls a Ghost Pro, which is one of these inexpensive digital cameras that's designed to show all frequencies. And he just goes out at night now, and he's taking videos. And he said, it doesn't really matter what night I go out there, I'm getting something. Then I ran across another channel this guy's got going on, and this guy is just a guy with he's got a military scope that's got a laser on it, and he's got video. He tweaked the laser at a UFO. They came back and did a little dance with their craft. So they're out there. We know they're out there. So that's the thing, and we just don't have cockpit video. We just don't have tours, and I'm waiting for that to happen. So well, let me ask you something. What is your take on this whole Corey Goode situation? It's hugely controversial now in the community. The lack of evidence seems to be there, but yet at the same time, like I said before, this is an impure vessel that's bringing us this story. How do you feel about his story?
Yeah, it's an interesting story, and the development of it is interesting for me as well, because I'll tell you, when I first heard of the Corey Goode story, and I really at that time was just starting to work with Gaia, and that's how I heard about it, because, I said, let me check out a lot of their shows since they're talking to me about potentially being on some of them. Let me start looking at them, and that's how I found out about Corey Goode. And initially, I was like, man, this guy's got a phenomenal story, but there's no evidence. I mean, can you bring back a feather? So that's initially what my thoughts were. Can you get any piece of some dust from the ship? I mean, whatever. And so I didn't say anything about it. I just kept it to myself and just continued to monitor and watch. Now, a few months later, I had started my Anunnaki history group, and I think he made a statement or a comment to the fact that Zachariah Sitchin was a hoax or a fraud or something, or it could be distorted message that he gave out, but he was basically saying that Zachariah Sitchin was way off and not even close, which I totally disagree with, because now he's been venerated by multiple researchers that have researched and read the tablets. Anybody can look up the tablets on ucla.edu. They have a library with the tablets in them. You can just drop a tablet into the deciphering thing and read the whole tablet yourself. You don't need any experts anymore. You don't need Zachariah Sitchin anymore. And based off of that, a lot of people have come up with the idea now that Sitchin was a phenomenal researcher, and he was pretty spot on. Everybody has a slightly different version of the story, because some of it's based on interpretation. But overall, the fundamental basis of it is very similar. So my thing was, we've got a lot of the evidence that Zachariah has had, and many other researchers, with stone tablets, with cylinder scrolls, and actual cities that are left behind, ancient cities that have now been dug up, that were mentioned, whereas he only has a story. So I did get a little kind of bugged about that. But when I went to the Conscious Life Expo here in 2016, February 2016, was my 5th time going. He was there speaking with Jason Wilcock. And now the second lecture that he gave, which was another day, he actually spoke by himself. There was no more Wilcock there to prod and poke him for answers and cue him in. So I said, I really need to see you. He's going to be speaking by himself. And I'll tell you, being an experiencer myself with actual alien interaction, gray aliens, and knowing how emotional it gets me sometimes, it takes me over. He started talking about his experience with this secret space program and this My Labs thing that he talks about all the time, from the time that he was a child. And at that time, he broke down. I know that feeling. I know that breakdown point that he got to. Something triggered in his mind, because the same thing happens to me. Something happened to this man. Something happened. He experienced something. He actually had a breakdown there for a minute. He had to get himself back together to continue the lecture. Man, I'll tell you, that got to me a little bit. Now, I recognized there from that moment that something he's talking about happened. Now, exactly how it happened or when it happened or how it's happening, I'm not sure about that. I can only continue to watch the shows and be a fan of it. But something truly, definitely happened to him on a psychological and emotional level that, in his mind, he truly believes occurred. So there's definitely something that's gone on. And I think the thing that's most important for Corey Goode is that he shouldn't continue to speak out and make controversial statements, because everything he does, if he spits on the concrete, it's going to get looked at and talked about. So he's got to be really careful about what he says and who he says it about, and just try to stick to what he knows and stick to try not to make any derogatory statements against anybody or any other sources, because there are a lot of people out there now saying that he's a clone, that he's a he's working for the government to deceive and so forth. He's controlled opposition. All these things are starting to come up now and become a big controversy as he becomes really big and really popular. So I think it's really important for him just to stay on track with what his stories are and try not to get into all these other controversies that people are going to start bringing up and hating on him about and so forth and so on. And I'd like to just continue to monitor this and see where it's going, because it's got to be an end game or a point somewhere where it gives us a aha moment, or some type of evidence. So they've had quite a few whistleblowers come forward that back up a lot of his stories, and their stories they have real military experience, real, government experience. They really work at these places, verifiable. So that helps the story a little bit as well and gives him some level of credibility. So I'm really just looking forward to see how this pans out. But if he can just stay on par with what his mission and his goal is, and try not to get sidetracked into these little sidebars, I think that'll help him out a lot more.
I tend to agree, and it's like I was telling you about the impure vessels and this whole thing. And there is a through line in ufology that we've all heard since Star Trek about the Prime Directive.
Yep.
And I don't know if I think we have been so poisoned by so much disinformation, misinformation, and twisting that I think there's an immunization in the social complex now that people are naturally have this built-in resistance to anything outside the norm. Correct. And so when you hear these stories, they're phantasmagorical. There's a side of me as a science fiction enthusiast that totally enjoys it and just is fascinated. I mean, this guy's coming up with stuff. How can you make this stuff up?
Right.
I mean, I'm like, this is the best, and I call it real-time sci-fi. That's what I call it. It just utterly flabbergasts me at the curiosity levels. And yet at the same time, like you, I sense when this guy talks that he would probably rather be somewhere else. I kind of get this torn essence to him that he's kind of like we have all talked about. He's put himself on the line, and I can see this cringeworthiness that he almost feels about himself sometimes. So, but it's groundbreaking, it's earth-shattering, and I've seen some of the vitriol that people have posted against the guy is unbelievable. So so this is something I think that if our friends in outer space are listening right now, you guys need to step up. We need a little bit more backup. I think Corey needs some backup. I think they need to kind of come forward and give us something a little bit more concrete than all these battles that are going on that we can't see. To me, it's more stories. I see nothing happening in the skies. I see nothing, just about the time the evidence is there, it's just around the corner and you can't touch it. Right. And so that's frustrating, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, it gets frustrating, And I'm just telling you, man, I was there in person. I saw his eyes. I watched him directly in front of him. The guy has really experienced something. It really has happened to him. What he's talking about, he truly believes it. That's
the sense I get. Now you alluded to something earlier, and you said that you had your own experience. Do you feel like talking about that a little bit?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. It took me a long time to come out with this, man. It was the reason even for my a divorce and lost my family because of this. Not my kids. I mean, they still love me and were around me, but it really caused a breakup, and I had to actually, we ended up getting divorced. I ended up moving because of this situation. I was working on a huge project in the mid-2000s called Fort Terranova. It really began to develop really well around 2010, and it's an underground city that I started and built in northwest Georgia. And it's for the purpose of a geological, local, or maybe even a global disaster. 360 people can go down there and live for up to a year off the grid without coming out, and then farm the land on top if need be to, crank up again. So it's a big project. The project was so huge, it was a $20 million project. It got recognized by a lot of people, and the History Channel came calling, and they wanted to come down and do a couple of episodes about it, and they did. So I was on this show called Countdown to Apocalypse, and 2 episodes where they came and went to my factory with my business partner in Texas, came here to Florida, interviewed me quite a few times, and then showcased some of the construction. So around this time, I'm really digging into geological history, and I really believe that there's a pending geological event on this planet coming within the next, 15 years or so. And maybe this is the reason why I'm bringing this up, is maybe this is the reason why the visitation occurred. Now, this would be the second time that I had an experience. The first one was when I was a 7-year-old kid in Opelika, Florida. I saw a UFO in my backyard. I didn't know what a UFO was, but that's when I started my research. From that point, looking in encyclopedias. Fast forward to this event, I'm in my house, and the room turns like a lavender purple color, and I'm going, what is this? Are the kids playing around in here? I mean, what's going on? I'm looking back upstairs to see if my son's playing with some kind of light device. When I turn my head back, 2 gray aliens are right in front of my face. And when I say right in front, I'm talking about inches from my actual face. And I'm sitting down in a chair, and I'm 6'4", so I'm sitting up as I turn around, which makes them probably, I guess, about maybe close to 4 feet tall. Big almond eyes, weird fleshy type skin, slit for a mouth, tiny little nose, the whole work, just like you see on TV. I mean, virtually almost identical to that. Very dangly arms and dangly legs. But now, they didn't talk to me telepathically. I didn't hear any human words or English or nothing like that. But whatever they started doing, it started shaking my brain, literally in my head. My head was shaking so violently, and I started trying to scream, and no sound would come out of my throat. Nobody could hear me. Nobody knew what was going on. People were actually in the house at this time. My wife at the time was in the master bedroom downstairs in the left wing of the house. My kids were in a split floor plan upstairs, daughters on one side, boys on the other side. And it was nobody was sleeping. This is 9:00 p.m. in the evening, and whatever they were doing was hurting me so violently. I just started shaking, and then they stopped, and then they turned, and they kind of, I don't even want to call it walking. They kind of dangled out and left. And I don't know what kind of walking. It's not heel toe. It's kind of almost like a bouncing type of a motion. I can't really explain it. But they left, and from that moment on, I was completely traumatized. The next day, I kept hearing this word in my head, this website, worldwidetelescope.org, worldwidetelescope.org, worldwide. So I'm going, worldwide. What is this? Worldwide. I go to my computer. I get on my computer. I never had to search for any anomalies before this happened. I type in worldwidetelescope.org. It tells me to download and install this software. I install the software, desktop software. I am now looking at outer space through a Microsoft-funded project. And then I immediately saw to the upper left corner, Panoramas, Mars. I click on that. The first one I click on is Opportunity Rover. Now it's like I'm looking through the rover's eyes as if I'm on Mars, and I'm looking around, and the first thing I see is an anomaly on the surface of the planet, which looked like a sphinx. And I'm going, oh my God, what is going on here? And that's how I got into anomaly hunting, and was hooked ever since then. But that was just a bizarre experience, man, and I'm telling you, sometimes when I see these shows when people are getting abducted by aliens, or they're talking about their experience with gray aliens and what happened with them, sometimes I literally break down. It's hard to, sometimes it just randomly grabs a hold of you. Like I was doing a show at Gaia last month, and they brought it up, and I was talking about some of the experience and what it felt like, and at that moment it grabbed me again. That's why I say I can recognize that something truly definitely happened to Corey Goode when he broke down there at that Conscious Expo in 2016, this year, February. You could tell that something really has occurred. It's a weird feeling.
Do you feel like perhaps you had a download of some kind, that besides that website, that there is other information that was transmitted to you or given to you? Or do you feel, was there any missing time or any of the classic ufology symptoms?
In this particular instance, there was no missing time. However, it did feel like a download, because within a few weeks, I started noticing a complete thirst for quantum physics. And I'm not talking about just lightly glancing over it. I'm talking about getting in depth into the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, in some of the basics as well, like the double slit experiment, and going into entropy and thermodynamics, and getting down into quarks, and really understanding how protons and neurons operate and work. And I was like, why am I so hungry for this information, and getting into it and then combining it, merging it with spirituality. I was making the connection between spirituality and physics, even going into ancient texts such as the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. and even some of the biblical texts, a lot of the Sumerian tablets, the Mahabharata, the Vedas, and connecting these verses and converting them and understanding the conversion process into science and how it actually is the same. The statements are saying the same thing that science is saying in physics, and making the connection between that and DNA and frequency and vibration and how it all works and merges together. And I started a group with a few other people called Quantum Mechanics on Facebook, and would actually be able to help students with their homework, having not gone to college for any quantum mechanics or physics at all, and these kids are currently in. And that group is now well over 70,000 members, and it's still going until this very day. It's just, it's just a bizarre thing, man. And between that and a few other weird things, memory has increased. Now, I have something called synesthesia, which is like a blending of my audio and visual. So 1 in 100,000 people get this. You're born with it. And what happens is when I hear sounds, including my own voice, I actually see colors and numbers.
Do you know who else has that problem? A very famous individual has the same problem. Are you familiar with the young singer named Lorde?
Yeah, Lorde. I did an article about that.
She's the one that she's like 20 years old. She did an interview on I was watching an interview on CBSN yesterday, as a matter of fact. And sure enough, she has the exact same problem. She gets colors when she.
Oh no, this is Billy Joel. Sorry, this is Billy. I'm looking at my article that I did on my blog. If you go to my blog, you can find it. It's out. Billy Joel. Billy Joel is the guy. He's got on shades. They all have on shades except for a couple of ones I couldn't find pictures of. Pharrell also has it. Kanye West and Mary J. Blige.
Does Bono have it? Because I know he's always wearing shades as well.
I don't know. I don't have Bono in this article. I didn't find any information about him coming out about it. But that's why people are like, why are you wearing shades all the time? Well, it helps to drown out some of the extra input and helps us focus more. I've been doing this since actually junior high school, wearing shades. I would even drive at night with shades when I first started driving because it was just too much clashing going on. And it would help me focus. It didn't completely erase it because it's really in your head, but it just helps dim some of the noise in a weird way. And a lot of the times people say, why do I have all these big headsets around my neck? I wear them all the time because when I'm not talking to people, I put the headsets on because they're noise canceling, and it lets me drown out a lot of the outside noise so that I can focus on what I'm doing. So it's a real psychological, biological situation. It's a real thing. And a lot of people hide it because they're embarrassed by it or whatever. And I'm in a couple of groups on Facebook for it. But
have you had experiences? Have you had this situation ever since? This is something you were born with?
Yeah, I was born with it. But what I was saying was after this experience with the Grays, it got more enhanced. And what I mean by that, I started finding ways to use it to enhance my memory, to enhance my research, and even to create music, which I never did before until this happened. I've now got a record label named Pantheon Elite Records. So Pantheon has been around for about a couple years now, and we've actually had 3 songs made the charts with Donnie Arcade, my top artist, and I'm the executive.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
I know, man. It's so bizarre. I've got songs now that are just my Forbidden Knowledge production. You can go on Spotify and listen to my songs for free if you have a Spotify account, or even on YouTube. And
excellent.
Yeah, a lot of the songs are instrumentals, but they're productions, and they're doing very well.
That's great, man. Now, did you have any recollection in your mind of any other ET connections in your childhood or throughout life? Because what I'm hearing is that if you've been visited once, you may have been visited more than once. Right.
Yes. Well, that's a great point for you to bring up. Now, when I was 7 years old in Opelika is when I saw my first UFO. And we lived by an airport, so I would go outside and watch the airplanes go over. And this one particular day, this sphere came over, and it flew across the horizon in seconds instead of minutes like a normal plane would. That's how fast it was moving. And I knew right away this was not a plane. UFO didn't exist in my vocabulary. Flying saucer didn't exist. Back then, we only had 4 TV channels. I'm aging myself now. It's 1977.
Well, I graduated from high school in 1976, my friend. So I've made.
You have me, man.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
1977, man. We didn't have cable TV. Didn't even exist.
Exactly.
So
best we had was the UFO. Well, I grew up in Missouri, and we had a UHF station. Was kind of that was the Star Trek channel. That was all the weird stuff. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And you had to tune into that one just right to be able to see
exactly.
Yep. Yeah, man. And
So
I went to the library at Rainbow Park Elementary in Opelika, Florida, and I started taking down all of the encyclopedias and going through every single one looking for technology. And that's when I literally started my research at that moment. And I was telling my mom about it, and I told my mom that I had a very weird feeling, and she goes, "What's the problem?" And I said, "I feel like I don't belong here. I just feel like I don't belong on this planet." And she was like, "Well, let me tell you, everything that's on this planet now, everything you see was already done before." So I said, "Huh? What are you talking about?" And she started telling me, this is in the 1970s. She started telling me about the Nazca lines and about Egypt.
wow, your
Back
mom is
then.
way ahead of the rest of us. I'll tell you what,
Way
that's
ahead.
amazing.
Yeah. Now, fast forward into the future, my mom, unfortunately, God bless her soul, has passed away. In 2010, she died from ALS. Um, and I have an aunt who's her sister who lives in England, who was a famous actress in England for quite a while, as well as her husband, who's been in the Twilight Zone and a few other shows. But she contacted me through her son, who's my nephew and cousin, I said cousin, and told me that she had something to tell me. And I'm like, okay. She says, well, I'm getting older. I don't have much more time. And there's something about our family and about us that I want you to know. And she started telling me that our family, back in ancient times was directly connected to the Anunnaki. Not that we were Anunnaki, but we worked for them. In other words, we had a high level of relationship with them and built structures with them. And there's a megalithic structure in St. Thomas, where they grew up, that's still there till this day. And she says that her and my mom, this is why she was telling me this, that her and my mom were playing in there one day and were taken away by aliens and brought back many hours later. And that I should look into it. And she doesn't know anything about forbidden knowledge. She doesn't know anything about what I research or none of my experiences. She don't even have email. So this was so bizarre
Amazing.
and shaking for me to have this revelation and to get this information. And then to find out that my grandfather, when the Sphinx needed to be reworked or fixed because it was getting too dilapidated, and also the Great Pyramid had some parts of it that were actually falling apart, they contacted my grandfather, Ronald Stevens, and he was the one who led the crew out there to Egypt. And there's photos of this, which I'm going to go try to pick up some photos this weekend when I go visit my father up in Palm Bay, Florida, of him working out there in Egypt on this project, which I found was really amazing that they would contact him. Not only that, he was a hidden figure. I don't know if you saw the movie Hidden Figures recently.
Absolutely, that was a great movie. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great movie. He was also a hidden figure, and his role that he played as a hidden figure with NASA was he worked on a top secret mission before it became public to design and build the first launch tower for this first space shuttle. And they have photos of him doing that as well. So
Wow.
And this is a man with an 8th grade education.
So I think the stars have lined up to put you on a mission, my friend. I think you
Yes.
definitely have a calling, and I think you're rocking right into it. And I'm utterly amazed about this. Now, have you got this story anywhere else on your website? Can we point to anything where people want to know a little bit more about you?
There's an interview that was done by Thomas Mickey Schroeder Jensen, a producer out of Denmark, and he has a website called MarsMoonSpace.com, just like that, MarsMoonSpace.com. And if you go there, he's got quite a few interviews that he's done with a lot of people. He's also Mars Moon Space on YouTube. So all of my interviews that I've done with him and a lot of our anomaly hunting videos are there. Because I just recently started my YouTube channel more recently. I don't have those types of videos on there predominantly. I have more like truth-seeking videos and stuff. So he's got all of the content, a lot of interviews that he's done with me about these topics and some of this information that we're talking about now, a little bit more in depth, and some of my real background and stuff like that. So people can check it out there as well.
Now, tell me a little bit more about this group that you formed, this Alliance of Anomaly Hunters. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, after I started, looking for anomalies and finding them, I started finding groups online of people that were actually involved in doing the same thing. And I was like, wow, there's other people doing this. And then I started finding YouTube channels that they were doing it as well. So I said, this is amazing. So I joined a group called Exclusive Mars Images, where I found quite a few people in it, became friends with them. And they all had their own little side groups that they were doing this anomaly hunting with as well. And all of us had 2,000, 3,000, few thousand people here and there that were involved in looking and viewing these images that we were discovering. These are all official images that we download from NASA, the European Space Agency, Russia Space Agency, and now the Indian Space Agency. So they're all official images that are public access, not hidden, not top secret, nothing like that. Everybody has the capability of going to these websites and downloading the same exact images. So we would go there, and we actually put together a real format on how to dissect them, how to analyze them, and how to present them to the general public, and how to provide the source links, which is most important, so they can look for themselves and see what they see. And I recognized that it was too shattered, it was too splintered, and that we needed to come together as a unit under one umbrella, keep our separate individual groups, but come together. And so myself and Thomas Mickey Schroeder Jensen, we talked about it. We became co-founders of the United Family of Anomaly Hunters. We brought in now a total of 14 groups, and we've analyzed over 1 million images, and we've discovered over 50,000 anomalies on the Mars, Moon, planets. Not planets, but I call them planets, but they're really moons of Jupiter, moons of Saturn. They're like little planets because they have atmospheres and magnetospheres and organic components to their atmosphere and everything else. Now that NASA's coming out with it, even Mercury and Venus, we've discovered anomalies on those two planets, all using official source images, and it's really amazing. So we've now made news internationally on many multimedia, CNN, Fox News, have put our stuff out there, RT, Russian Times. We've been everywhere, and we're making a big splash. A lot of people have been woken up to what's out there, and the fact that there may be current life out there now, not just in the ancient past, because a lot of the objects we find, and we can't say this for sure, but they appear to be metallic in nature, just based off of reflectivity and lighting. And if they are, a lot of metallurgists that we've talked to and consulted with say that even in a low oxygen atmosphere, being exposed, after 70 to 100 years, these things should disintegrate and turn back into dust. Why are they not disintegrated and turned back into dust? Some of these objects are in perfect, pristine condition, and they should be gone by now if they were millions and millions of years old. So there's a big enigma here and a big question mark as to what are these things and who put them there and why are they there in the first place. So it's another big mission that we're on to help bring disclosure to the general population and to entice as many people as we can to go look up these images themselves, follow the source links, and try to see what they can see in the images and bring back to us what they've seen.
More of a citizen journalist type of exposure. And
Correct.
I think it's all contributing to a tipping point. I think that we're losing the ridicule factor as much as we've all put our names on the line and we know there's a ridicule factor. And I think this whole concept of extraterrestrial intelligence and all these topics, I think all of this is beginning to become the new normal. And I'm not seeing the kind of resistance from people that I saw even 5 years ago. I think there is a general consensus. People do not have to be convinced that there's life in the universe at this point. And I think that there is this immunization that occurred to the global consciousness to be resistant against ufology in such a virulent way.
It's there's been a lot of disinformation. A lot of paid propaganda agents have infiltrated the community and have turned the old conquer and divide, the old Tower of Babel again. Here we are building this phenomenal way to communicate and connect and love one another and expose hidden information and bring back to the forefront real technologies that can help and mankind and push us forward. And just like in the Tower of Babel incident in the Bible, the God shows up, which actually was Enlil, not a real God, and destroys the tower, separates the people and sets up their languages, and conquer and divide, has everybody fighting each other instead of fighting the real problem. And that's what has happened. Unfortunately, the CIA has trolls, the NSA has trolls. They go into these sites now. My site's a big target because it's one of the biggest ones, so I'm a big target of these fake accounts. As soon as they come on there, they start arguing with my followers. You go tap on their icon, they don't even have any images or anybody that they're following. It's just a fake account, So you have
even Corey Goode had mentioned that in one of his interviews. It talked about how he specifically remembered seeing kind of a cubicle farm of people doing nothing but getting on groups and becoming multiple personalities, arguing with themselves.
Yeah,
which to me is hilarious. And I know it's quite possible. There's nothing that's not plausible about that. I'm like, okay, that I can believe.
Yeah,
that I can believe.
So, yeah, that's happening. I did an article about it, and it was even admitted by the CIA that they have these internet cyber warriors, as they call them, that just go in here and supposedly they're for our benefit, but it really, truly, it's a conquer and divide technique. Just keep putting question marks in people's heads. And a lot of these truth-seeking accounts have gotten so fanatical to the point where they have now become extremists. And I think that we have to be aware of these types of accounts where, you know, you have accounts that have now gone so hardcore in one direction that they now themselves have put black on the blinders, and they're blind to see what's really happening. They've kind of put their head in the sand, and this is the one way that they go, and that's the only way. A good example of extremists are the flat earth people, where if you not even talking about flat earth, they start commenting flat earth, flat earth, flat earth. I get on a video live, they start commenting that the earth is flat. It has nothing to do with the earth is flat. The video is talking about esoteric science, but they just can't help themselves. And if you tell them that it's not, or that you provide them with any other type of information, very nicely and very kindly, they get extremely belligerent and extremely violent.
This to me is it's an utter element of incredulity that I find myself seeing this, because I'm not a total fan of academic science. There's areas that I feel that they are not being intellectually honest, but that doesn't mean you throw out all science. And like you said on that one interview with Sean, that you know, NASA has indeed done cover-ups, but it doesn't mean everybody at NASA is a liar. There is actual science going on there. There's actual rockets being launched. You know. You know, Elon Musk is not a shill for the cabal. I mean, some of this stuff is just off the wall. And like you said, the concrete, the extremism is just bizarre to the level that you say to yourself, what? This is what I call malware for the mind. And it's just like they've become infected. And it almost like it's a test. If you're infected with it, we're going to put you over here. And the other guys, okay, we got you guys over here. I'm wondering if it's a separation tactic to kind of call people into an area, and now they've got these people that form like an army. I remember hearing a year ago somebody said there was a couple of years ago there were only 5,000 people involved in flat Earth, and now it's multiple thousands. It's unbelievable.
Multiple millions. It's getting so out of control that now you have NBA players talking that they're. You have Shaquille O'Neal. Now they've recruited him. They've got Kyrie Irving from the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's in the NBA Finals right now. They've got Draymond Green from the Warriors, also in the NBA Finals. And these guys, why are you getting interviewed about basketball and you're talking about the Earth is flat? This is an agenda, man. This is a straight agenda. You have Shaquille O'Neal at the NBA Finals 2 nights ago holding up a T-shirt that says the Earth is flat on international TV, because this is being watched worldwide. This is an agenda. And
I think it's being facilitated by the reduction in education. There's this, as we've unfunded education, as we've unfunded the arts and intellectual processes in schools, you don't even get driver's ed anymore. And so this race to the bottom intellectually. It's just I can't even say.
Listen, like I told somebody the other day that I made a post about how it's an infection and a virus that's happening with this flat Earth thing, and that people who are posting it don't have any understanding of basic physics. I'm talking about standard basic physics, not even going to the quantum level, just standard physics.
Right. Exactly. I think it's related. It's being facilitated by this dumbing down that's been going on for the last 20 years. You know?
Well, guy jumps on and he starts commenting, oh, no, I know all about science and this and that. I say, okay, let me ask you a couple of quick questions that you can't get to Google with real quick. You got to answer them immediately. And I asked him, how do you form how do atoms come together to form molecules? What is a molecule? I started asking him basic questions. What is an accretion disk? How are they formed? Why do they spiral? He couldn't answer any. He had no answer for anything because why? Because he didn't know. How do electrons hold orbit around atoms? What happens when they? How does an atom change? To a different element. How do they combine to change into elements? How do the orbits of these electrons change? Do they go higher? Do they go lower? Do they add additional? I mean, he couldn't answer, and not even one of my questions. And this is
Well,
a
and I'll be in all honesty, I can't answer that question either because I had it in physical science class and electronics class in high school. But but I'm not
yeah,
going to sit here and throw out science. I'm going to go,
right.
okay, I can
Yeah,
actually understand a little bit about what you're saying. I'm not here to argue that. I'm like, okay, I need to go learn that because
yes,
I don't discount science. I think
right.
that we have been misled at some of the other levels, but that doesn't mean you just throw science out. I mean, that
Can't throw
just
it
blows
out.
my mind, you know?
Exactly. You have to, when I'm telling this guy this is it's cute to say, look, I don't know everything. Maybe this guy knows a little bit of something. Maybe I should go do a little more research. And I was trying to tell him that the physics that we operate under right now is a spherical physics. Everything is based on spheres. Everything, but spheres and orbits. And your
Absolutely.
cell phone won't even work without spheres.
Yeah, and this is the I guess the point of incredulity that I get to is that people aren't even willing to say maybe.
Correct.
That's what's really scary.
Yeah.
And when you can no longer say maybe or what if,
Hmm.
and I think that this is some of this. Uh, I just get utterly flabbergasted by it. I just can't believe that people would fall for it. But evidently, I think it's facilitated, like I said, by this defunding of education
Yeah.
and a lot of popular culture.
They
So,
picked the right time. I mean, the first time that this happened, like I tried to tell people, was during the Inquisition, where they killed literally and tortured 80 million people. They made Hitler look like an angel. And the Papal Inquisitions, they literally, you look, the Earth is flat, the universe goes around us, and we're the center of everything. And if you say anything about that or think anything other than that, we're going to kill you. And that's how they got people to believe the Earth was flat. Because before the Inquisition, people knew that the Earth was not flat. They knew that the Earth was a globe and that it orbited, and that there were other planets out there as well, going all the way back to the Dogons and the Zulu tribes and the Maya. Everybody, they knew until the Inquisitions came and destroyed that. Then we finally came back to our senses, got rid of that, went back to the reality of it all, and now here we go again. They wait to the perfect time of the level of ignorance that we have on this planet of people who really don't know anything about science. I told somebody the other day, I said, if there was an EMP pulse right over America and it burnt out every microchip, we would go back to the Stone Ages. And the guy said, you're crazy. I said, I'm crazy? Tell me how to make a cell phone. You know how to use one, but do you know how to make one? Do you know all the elements involved in creating a system, a network that will allow it to even function? I mean, you
well,
guys.
imagine, and I've told people the exact same thing. You and I resonate at the same place about
Yeah.
this. I've told people if that happened, or I didn't say EMP, but EMP would be enough. But imagine a nuclear war where
Hmm.
all of the memory manufacturing plants were wiped out, the
Hmm.
LCD manufacturing plants were wiped out. How long would it take us to get back to that? Probably another 100 years.
Easy.
Because we'd have to rebuild all those special plants. I mean, you
Hmm.
think about the lenses and everything else it takes to
Oh,
make microchips. Oh
mhm.
my gosh, the process is utterly phantasmagorical, and it took us, I guess, 50 years to get here. But
Hmm.
a nuclear devastation, I think it would take us even longer because you'd have. It would be very similar to that little sci-fi show that came out a couple of years ago, the
Hmm.
100. I don't know if you
Oh,
saw
yeah.
that or not.
It's a great.
That was a very very good approximation, I think, of where
Yeah.
we'd be. You know.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
well, Billy, we're coming up on an hour here. I want to
Okay.
thank you very much for this time. You have been very enlightening,
Thanks.
and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. And
Hmm.
we'll get this out there right away. Is there anything else you want to add to the interview today?
I just want to say, man, to everybody out there, look, we love you, and we're fighting for you guys, literally. I mean, on a daily basis, and we're not alone. There's a lot of us out here that are fighting for humanity and the expansion of consciousness, and to not give up because we're going to get there. As grim as it may seem, and some of the things we talk about, we are still advancing at a phenomenal rate. Because I remember in the 70s there was nobody around talking about this, and now we're into 2017. And it's now all over the place. So we are moving forward at a steady pace. We will reach critical mass of consciousness on this planet, and we will overthrow the oligarchy and head back into the golden age. Some of us will be here to see it, some of us won't, but it's for posterity, and we've got to keep fight the good fight, and we've got to keep moving forward. So everybody, just stay true and stay firm, and just keep researching and studying and looking for more information and helping us out here.
Thanks again, Billy. I really appreciate you being on today.
No problem. Thank you, sir.
I'm Corey Goode, and welcome to Goode Vlog. Today is September the 12th. I couldn't bring myself to vlog yesterday for obvious reasons. It's just a bad day. But I guess I need to fill some people in. My wife did have some sort of a neurological episode, a seizure. It was pretty scary. It happened last Tuesday. And she's doing better. It's taking her a lot of time to get her mind working again. Her brain was really kind of frazzled by it. It was really scary. But thank you for all the thoughts and prayers that I'm getting in email and Facebook posts. I appreciate it. It does look like Stacy's going to be healthy enough to travel tomorrow, though, which is very good. She needs to get away. She overworks herself. So we're going to be headed to Sedona, Arizona tomorrow. We're going to go to Bridget Nielsen's Healthy Food Adventure, I believe it's called. And I'm going to be vlogging from there. Hopefully I'm going to get some video of Bridget and I talking about high vibratory diets. I know a lot of people have been interested in that topic. So, you know, I hope we're able to cover that pretty well. Had to move it in. It was a little bright out there. So, as I said, we're going to Sedona. And luckily, my mom is able to come to the house and watch the kids and the dog. So that will not be as disruptive. I'm about to release an update for the Part 1 and Part 2 article that I recently posted. I've had a lot of people asking me questions about the 300,000, and also the math was a little wonky in the article. When I originally told David that Tier said less than 300,000 are ready for harvest, David immediately grabbed a calculator and figured it out. But I guess when it made it into the article, the math got a little messed up. So it's caused a lot of confusion. We should have just left in what Tier originally said. So there is clarification on the 300,000. There's clarification on the many questions about people asking why children would be left out of the equation if they're under the age of accountability. A lot of questions about that. I actually had an opportunity very recently to have another meeting with Tier, and this was very much a topic of what was going on. And I'm still trying to wrap my mind around a lot of what he communicated. It's kind of a different way of looking at things. He stated that the ascension that we are looking forward to has been occurring already and has been occurring for some time, and that there are some major events that had occurred in our history that have been, I guess, re-edited, kind of like the Mandela effect. There are large changes that have occurred in our temporal reality that we cannot remember because we don't have the base of reference of that other reality. I'm going to update and brief Dr. Sala and David Wilcock on this latest information. I'm sure they'll be releasing an article before I get a chance to when I get back from Sedona. But I just want you to know to keep an eye out for that. Some of the confusion out there might be, we might have a way to fix that here soon. If not, I hope to start answering more questions. On this vlog, we're going to start doing a Q&A period. We're going to start getting different information and data from Cosmic Disclosure. They're going to allow us to start showing bloopers of David and I. They're going to allow us to show little clips of the upcoming Cosmic Disclosure episodes. So there's a lot that is stirring right now with how this vlog is going to shake out. So I'd like to thank you once again for tuning into the vlog, and we will be back very soon with more content. And for those who are disappointed that they didn't get to see David Wilcock in this video, I'll go ahead and add a clip of him wandering around a mountaintop looking confused. Enjoy.
Go.
He recorded that clip for a Russian television interview a couple days ago. I just thought I would throw that in there for all of y'all who just feel like you need to see David. Anyway, I look forward to bringing you more footage very soon. A lot more interesting than that one, I guarantee.
Radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985. You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Well. How you doing? It's Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. How you doing? Today's Tuesday, November 29th. 334 days into the new year, just 32 days left, everybody. 32 days left. Can you believe it? We got to the end of this sucker. I'd like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? Fired up? I am. It was a great day today. How was yours? It was a great day today. And it led up to what we're going to do tonight, right here on Fade to Black. Our guest tonight is Corey Goode. He's here tonight to do a complete history lesson of the SSP and the interstellar war that's going on right now. A message to all humanity goes down tonight from Corey Goode. One of the brightest, smartest, good-looking, tall. He's the best. He is with us. I'm watching all the dancers in Twitter. So Mark tweets out, the dancing, the dancers in Twitter, all the GIFs, and looks like he's got a Girls Gone Wild video here. Oh my God, they still make those. They still make the Girls Gone Wild. Walter's got a belly dancer. That's a really cool tattoo. What is that, a cheetah? What is that on her? What is that? Wow, a cheetah with wings? I really can't tell what that is. That's really, really cool. And man, Michael Hicks, thank you, everybody. I can't start the show out without the Fifth Element opera singer. There she is. You know, I believe she was, I think she was or is, she's the wife of the director of Fifth Element. I believe. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that one. All right, everybody. Distractions are over. Let's do this. Tonight, Corey Goode is here. We are going to go through a complete history of the SSP, the Interstellar War, his current contact, current messages, what is going on today. We are going to answer all of, what's that? She was his girlfriend at the time. Oh, not the wife. Okay. Okay. That's coming in from Rita. And we're going to get to your questions. I don't think the way that we've laid out the show tonight is that I don't think we're going to have time for phone calls. So don't get upset. That's why we tweeted out today to make sure that if you have any questions for Corey, pop it in to Fade to Black Questions, hashtag F2BQ. Follow me on Twitter right now, at JChurchRadio, at JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do. The sandbox is hashtag F2B. Hashtag F2BQ is the questions. Also, if you're listening right now, no phone calls. The phones have been lit up. I'm watching them right now. It is lit up here. I'm not going to take phone calls. Okay, so don't get upset if you have questions, because I can ask your questions quickly. All right, and I can get more of your questions in if I read them to Corey than if we sit and take 2 or 3 phone calls. That's not, I can blast 30, 40, 50 of your questions if you post them. So post them in hashtag F2BQ. If you're calling in right now, we're just going to disconnect the phone call. Okay, we're not going to put anything on hold. I just don't want you to waste your time. Listen to the show. Enjoy yourself tonight. Tomorrow night, Mike Sauvé is going to be here with his new book, Who Authored the John Teeter Legend. We are going to do a full night of John Teeter tomorrow night. That is another not-to-miss show. We have a great week here on Fade to Black. All right, tonight, Corey, tomorrow, John Teeter and Mike Sauvé all night. And I've got a couple of surprises that I'm lining up for tomorrow, too, as well. To join Mike in on the show. Use your imagination, but I think we've got some pretty cool stuff lined up for tomorrow night, too, as well. And Thursday is Fader Night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom. It is Fader Night. It will be open lines all night long. As I mentioned, follow me right now on Twitter, at JChurchRadio. Twitter stays live to my left throughout the show. To my right are the chat rooms. Okay, so if you've got anything going on, anything you need to say, I will see it in the chat rooms or in Twitter. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. You can email throughout the show. If you have a question for Corey and you want to do it via email, get it in now, Jimmy at Jimmy Church Radio. Okay? Make it a good question, too, because if it's not good enough, it's not going to get in here to me. So think about that before you send that email. Make it a good question. Make it good, and I'll make sure it gets on the air. Okay? All right. Let's go. Check out all of our sponsors. In a few short minutes, Ronnie McMullen is going to be here from Life Change Tea. All right, just go to the banners over at jimmychurchradio.com. Click on them. Use the promo code Jimmy, either over the phone or online when you order, and you're going to get free shipping because you are a Fader Not. Also, River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. I was just talking to Ronnie before the show about Fade to Black blend, and he says he roasts his own beans. I said, man, nah, you need to check out the good stuff. And so I'm now obligated to send Ronnie some Fade to Black blend because it is the best coffee ever. Thank you, River Moon Coffee, for creating this blend for us. Use the promo code F2B blend, and you will get 15% off of your order, no matter how big or small it is. All right. See, the thing is, after I read that promo, for River Moon Coffee. It's subliminal. River Moon Coffee does this right. There's something about saying River Moon Coffee and Fade to Black blend. They jinx the coffee, man. They put a hex on it because it makes you want to go and drink the coffee. And I can't help myself. I think I just figured it out. That's a pretty good business model right there. Also, Studio Dome and their Fade or Not special. We've got a Christmas special coming up, too, as well. We will make that announcement over the next couple of days. And there you go. The headphones are coming, by the way. 2 SB-B2 speakers in a hard shell case, $129, just in time for the holidays. All right? Everything that you need. A high-fidelity Bluetooth stereo system in a hard shell case with power cables. Just use the promo code JCRTWS. It's that simple. 60% off the normal price of $399. And you get free shipping. Best deal on the net anywhere. All right, let's get this show cracking. Today, Barrett Brown, my man, Barrett Brown, was released from federal prison. And I just have one message for Barrett. Welcome back to the real world. And I know tonight, I know Barrett, tonight it's on in his world. Barrett Brown, welcome back. And we, how do I want to say this correctly? We've reached out. We've reached out to Barrett. Okay? So let's see if we can get him on the show next week. Happy birthday to today. One of the funniest, Anna Faris, is 40 years old. And if you want to see a funny movie, you want to see a real funny movie, a real funny movie, go see Smiley Face. That is old school funny. That's the real deal funny. Anna Faris today is 40. Our dead guy's birthday today is the one and only Gary Shandling. 1949 to 2016, died at the age of 66. Yes, stand-up comedian. Yes, actor, writer, producer. Best known for It's the Gary Shandling Show and the Larry Sanders Show. During his 3-decade career, nominated for 19 Primetime Emmy Awards, 2 Golden Globe Awards, along with many other awards and nominations. He served as the host for the Grammy Awards 4 times, hosted the Emmy Awards 3 times. 2002 TV Guide named The Larry Sanders Show the 38th greatest show of all time. 2008 Entertainment Weekly ranked the series the 28th best show in the past 25 years. It was also included on Time Magazine's 100 greatest shows of all time. No joke. No joke, man. Love that show. March 24, 2016, a few months ago. Shandling died in his home right here in Los Angeles, California, after suffering a massive, massive heart attack. They thought that he just passed out, but paramedics got there. He was done. Couldn't revive him. Gary Shandling, happy birthday. On this day in history, yes, it happened. 1929, American explorer Richard Byrd and his 3 companions make the first flight over the South Pole, flying from their base on the Ross Ice Shelf to the pole and back in 18 hours and 41 minutes. And in doing so, they found out that the Earth was not flat on this day in 1929. Fader fact, German citizens can travel. Listen to this. German citizens can travel to 177 territories without a visa nor a visa given on arrival. The most in the world. Think about that for a second. Man, if you're German, you just get on a plane and go. Get your tickets. Where are you going to? Does it matter? No, not really. All right. You got a visa? Don't need one. Ah, you're German. You must be German. Yes. That's a Fifth Element crack right there. That's Fifth Element. All right. Let's bring on our good friend. Like we do every single month, we bring on Ronnie McMullen from Life Change Tea. Runs one of the great companies in the world. But the thing is, everybody in my circle is on the program. Everybody that works here is on the program. And the program, you can get it at getthetea.com. And here to help us get healthy, the one and only Ronnie McMullen. Ronnie, good evening. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great, Jimmy. How you doing, man?
It's a beautiful day, man. Got Corey Goode on the show tonight. You going to hang out and listen to him?
Oh, yeah. I want you. See, I figure maybe I've got an in. I don't know. Maybe I don't. But I thought maybe you could ask a question for me.
Yeah, sure. What is it?
In the next 24 months, are we going to see a major UFO event? I'm not talking about a sighting. I'm talking about some kind of contact.
In the next 24 months. Okay.
Yes.
So, okay. Rita, put that question from Ronnie in the list here for me. In the next 24 months, will there be a major ET event?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Great question, Ronnie. Wow.
Yeah, 24 months, yes.
Man, I almost think you've done this before. Oh,
Nah.
Let me add, before we get to Life Change Tea and what you got going over there, you did conspiracy and UFO radio for years, right?
Yes.
Is this show as good as what you used to do? No, okay, that wasn't the question. The question is this:
You're better, man. You're better. That's it. We have to talk about this.
Ronnie, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. That was a bad crack.
No, that was fun.
We've got a long ways to go. You're a veteran now. In all of your years of doing interviews, did you ever get a guy like Corey on the show, of that caliber, of that level? And if you didn't, who would you like to interview besides somebody like Corey that you didn't get a chance to?
I would say I did not have Corey. I did not have that kind of caliber. And I would say if I was to, I actually interviewed everybody that I really wanted to interview.
Right.
So I think I just got gifted that way, because sometimes there would be ones I would be disappointed in, not mentioning names, and then I'd find out they're a jerk and they're fake anyway.
Right. Been down that road. Yes.
So it always works in your favor, at least it did in mine, that if I couldn't get them, I went, there's something up with that, so I'm just going to leave it be.
Well, I'm going to ask you this. I get this question every single day. It's really weird. A day does not go by that somebody doesn't say, okay, so Jimmy, what's your favorite interview? Who was your favorite? So I'm going to ask you, okay, so who was your favorite interview? Is there one that stands out?
Yes.
One?
My favorite interview was Karina Sables.
Really? Why?
Yes.
Why?
She was the real deal.
Yeah.
She was the real deal, and
wow, that's a good
and
call.
She would always throw things my way that would make me think, something that kind of makes your head explode. You're like, oh my gosh, I didn't understand that, but now I get it.
Right.
So when it came to abductions, she was the one that brought me, you might say, in the room where I went, oh my God, this is real.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, when on that same level for me, in that same kind of area, Betty Andreessen was an amazing interview, and she was has a lot to do with where and who I am today, and so having, after reading her book 35 years ago, which literally caused a lot of sleepless nights, right?
Yeah.
The Andreessen affair. And what that meant to me and how that book found me, because it found me. I did, that's a crazy story in itself. And to get her on, to have the opportunity to ask her all those questions that I've had over the years, and to listen to her honesty and her voice was scary. It was because she's just a cool, really, really cool person, very cool. And you hear the story, and that's in that area, that was one of my favorite interviews, no doubt. So, yeah, I'm with you. Travis?
I think the interviews would go, I really didn't have a favorite, but I would say that there were certain interviews that were just kind of over the top. And there were interviews that you said, that in the back of my mind, I'm saying, boy, I wish I could never do this again, and I wish I could cancel it right now.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. There isn't a day that goes by, right, that one particular show or two or whatever, these weird moments pop in my head. It was just like, dude, I just wish I had a time machine. Because that would have never happened. You know, the good news is it will never happen again either, right? That's the good news. So what's
I always like to be stretched, and if they stretch me, they did good.
Well, if I get to the end of the show, right, 3 hours, and I am exhausted, like, I mean, I can't even think straight, that's when it's a great show.
Yep.
Right? If I just end the show on a high note and I'm just all, you know, awake and not brain dead, it makes me wonder, because it's the shows that you know, cause me to think, right? That's, man, 3 hours of that is brutal. And that's when I know I've had a good show. It takes energy right
out of you. You can't even go get an In-N-Out burger. You're too tired.
No, you can't. You cannot. And it's brutal. It's great, because that's when I know it's a good show. But I got to tell you, man, it takes me a good solid hour to even come close to having a conversation after a show like that, because I can't think, and that's when I know it's good. So what's new over at Life Change Tea?
Well, I've got something really cooking here. Here's what we're doing. We started this the day after Thanksgiving, so Black Friday we started it. It's going to go at least through Christmas. And if you buy 2 Super Tea, and that's the number one seller on our website, is the Super Tea, because it does so much, and we could go into that, but we won't. So look it up on the website, getthetea.com. But if you buy 2 packages of Super Tea, you get 1 for free. It's a $35 savings, and if you mention Jimmy, you're going to get free shipping.
Wow. Okay, there you go. That's a deal. And thank you for doing that. I got there's 2 things I want to say. One, I mean, I get posts and I get email and stuff all the time, but I got this email the other day, and I forgot to pull it up. My bad. But I just want to relate this to the audience, that, you know, when I get somebody that says the tea, thank you, Jimmy, for shouting about it. It was right there, right? Thank you for shouting about it every day on the air, because I went and did it. And after 2 weeks of 2 glasses a day, my life has changed. It is truly life change tea. And and just thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Ronnie, in the email. And that just makes me feel great, you know, because somebody has taken the time to send that email. They don't have to do that.
No,
I get that. People are busy. People are busy, you know, but it's really changed somebody. And that's all because of you, Ronnie. Thank you. I mean, I'm a vehicle to get this out to the world. And when somebody responds back to me, or I can't tell you, I've got a collection of photographs of images that have been sent to me of Fade or Not sitting there with their Life Change tea, with their Studio Dome speaker, with a cup of coffee and a bottle of vodka in the background, right? And, you know, just to let me, and their T-shirt or whatever, just to let me know that they're all in, right? They are all in. And
I think it's the most awesome thing when people write in and say how the product is, because, you know, we have so many testimonies at the website. I think people think sometimes we make them up because we have so many. And that's really, it's not the. In fact, one of my favorite ones, and I love this one. A guy emails me and he says, you know, you drove me crazy. I listened to your commercial on so many different radio programs. I'm so sick of it. And he says, so sick of it that I went out and I tried it. And I just want to thank you for being diligent with your commercials, because it's the most wonderful thing I've taken.
Right. Well, like what Rita just posted on Facebook, and I was shocked because Rita stays private. Okay, that's it. She's got a private zone that she's got her world, she's got her friends, and it's a wall built around, as it should be. You know,
yeah.
And she's more famous than this show is right now. She's like a rock star out there, right? So now she knows she's got to build the wall around her, and that's fine. But she posted this on Facebook yesterday, and I couldn't believe it. And this is what she wrote. She wrote, taking stock in inventory. In 8 months, I've lost 25 pounds. My portions are 1/3 of what I used to eat, and my stomach ulcer is gone. In fact, I forgot where my stomach is. Life Change Tea rocks. Right there.
Wow. Tell Rita I love her.
You know, and check this out. 89 likes, right? 19 comments. and over just a post that is very, very personal and is up there, and she never does this, and that says a lot. And I think for all of the women out there that are listening to me right now, this is Rita speaking. This is not me. I didn't, this is Rita. And for a woman to post something so personal about herself like this says a lot to all the other women out there. The women know how to communicate with each other, right?
Yeah, they have a whole different frequency.
What was that name of that book? I forget the name of it.
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember either. But it was something about speaking to women, or I don't know.
What all men know about women, right?
Yeah,
and it's 200 blank pages, right? and it was like on the New York Times bestseller list, right? But it was 200 blank pages. But women know how to, and for Rita to say this out there to all of the other women, this is what's going on in my world. So. There you go. And now, what else? Really quick before I let you go, got to get Corey Goode in here. What do you have new that's coming out? What's around the corner?
We've got some really cool things. We got bees coming around the corner. It's essential bees, and we are we don't carry the bees that we should in our body, and we're deficient. So this is going to give us kind of I call them the wild bees, the ones that you're not normally going to take. And it'll get your body kind of tuned up. That's right around the corner. And I got some other wonderful things coming, so you always be checking the website. But I want to make a statement because I know you got to go. Yes. Don't forget my question to Corey.
I got it right here.
Also, Life Change Tea, okay, getthetea.com, is behind you, Jimmy. And you know what? I think I'm proud of you because you're kind of a wild man. You're the big kahuna. And I think I'm really proud of you because you're taking this stuff and you're changing. We got to keep you ticking. You know what I mean? We got to keep you ticking so you can do this for many more years to come. So we are behind you, Jimmy. We're behind Fade to Black, and I just appreciate everything you do.
I just did a toast of vitamin C right there as you said that. I toasted to you. Not kidding, awesome. Man. God, I love that stuff. I love the olive and the moringa. And the vitamin C. Now, this is my order. This is what I do. I do the vitamin C last, right? So I'll do the olive first, and which is amazing, right? Tasting. And then as good as that is, the moringa to me, I like the taste a little better. So I build up, and then you get that slam of that vitamin C drop. And I'm telling you, you are good to go. That's my order. Olive, moringa, vitamin C. Just like that. Drop, drop, drop. And I am so good. Thank you for everything.
Well, it hits your bloodstream, so it's immediate. It's now.
It's right.
You're a now kind of guy.
I am now. Thank you so much, Ronnie. And I'll talk to you next week. How was your Thanksgiving? Was it good?
It was wonderful. How was yours?
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. It was just a perfect day.
And we'll share your coffee sometime.
Family, I'll get that out there to you. It'll arrive with a Fade to Black shirt, I promise.
Yeah, there it is. Have a great one, man.
All right, Ronnie, thank you so much. Ronnie McMullen, everybody. Life Change Tea. GetTheTea.com. He's got that 2-for-1 special right now. Buy two teas, get one free. $35 off. That's what I'm talking about. And go to his specials page. Use the promo code Jimmy when you order. You're always going to get free shipping. This is Fade to Black. When I come back after this short break, Corey Goode is right here on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Thank you, Ronnie McMullen. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi, folks. In a world of GMO, genetically modified organisms, that is, chemicals, processed foods, and a healthcare system that's unraveling like a cheap suit, it's time to prepare. God created herbs, and herbs help man. Our body can heal itself, just sometimes we need assistance. You need some help? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Our mild detox is quite powerful with its unique blend of 8 different herbs. And if you're looking for more, our non-GMO supplements will help you with different needs you might have. Health should be a top priority. Take care of your health naturally. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Give your body a treat. Let the herbs do their thing naturally. Read all the testimonies on the website, GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Sickness and viruses are like intruders, and herbs are like warriors. Let the tea work for you. That's GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Manson, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I want to remind everybody, tomorrow night, author Mike Sauvé is going to be here with his new book, Who Authored the John Teeter Legend. We're going to do a full night of John Teeter tomorrow. Thursday night is another Fader night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom live all night long, open lines. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Corey at Blue Avions. Very simple. Everything is up on Twitter now. If you have any questions that you want to direct directly to Corey, you may do so tonight. Hashtag F2BQ in Twitter. Corey Goode was identified as an intuitive empath with precognitive abilities and was recruited through one of the MyLab programs at the young age of 6. Goode trained and served in the MyLab program from 1976, 1986, 1987. Towards the end of his time as a MyLab, he was assigned to an IE support role for a rotating Earth delegate seat shared by secret Earth government groups, by the way, in a human-type ET Super Federation Council. During his 20-year service, his assignments included the Intruder Intercept Interrogation Program and assignment to the ASSR ISRV Auxiliary Specialized Space Research Interstellar Class Vehicle. Goode is in, today, direct physical contact with the Blue Avions of the Sphere Being Alliance, who have chosen him as a delegate to interface with multiple ET federations and councils on their behalf, liaison with the SSP Alliance Council, and to deliver important messages to all of humanity. His website is thespherebeingalliance.com. I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, our friend Corey Goode. Corey, good evening.
Good evening to you.
How are you, man? Everything good in your world? How was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was very good. Yeah, I had some good time with family.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. You just look around and be thankful, right? That's it. That's the day. And if you get out of it without a really good fight with your sister, it's all good. Well, maybe you need the good fight with your sister, too, to make it a complete Thanksgiving. That's always the way I kind of look at it. Well, tonight, Corey, I want to break things down in 3 or 4 sections. First, the history of the start of the SSP. Second, what went on in the 1980s and the expansion of the SSP. Third, you and your first contact with it. And then fourth, what is going on today? Who was involved? What is your latest contact or news that you want to have us hear? And, of course, the rest of the world. And so that's kind of the structure today. But first, after announcing the show this week, I have gotten a ton of email about Stephen Greer. And that we should have, the email was very consistent, Corey. It was that we should have Stephen on the show tonight. You guys need to discuss things and talk things through, whatever. And I did reach out to Stephen today. Okay, I did, but he didn't reply. I have watched the recent video that was posted concerning not only you, but he went off on Tom DeLonge as well. And so I kind of want to start off the show with this and give you a chance to reply to what is going on out there, if you have anything to say in response to his comments about you.
Well, I mean, I do respect the work that he's done. He, in his disclosure project that he did in 2001, he brought this topic, to the forefront. We just have a extremely polarizing different view of what is going on out there. And, he feels that, it's irresponsible for anyone to talk about negative extraterrestrials. So, from my point of view, I experienced the good with the bad. So I have to go off of my experiences.
Right. I'm going to let things go right there. I'm going to let those rest where they are. I'll give him a chance to respond back. The one thing, and I agree with you, the awareness that he started back then has brought things up to another level. There's no question about that. And with my own experiences out there with my sightings and a couple of very strange CE5 kind of moments, one of which you were there too as well. I mean, we saw these things together, that there is something going on out there. And I thank him for that. But there's an open-mindedness that is closed when it comes to Greer that I'm not completely comfortable with. And we'll tackle that on another day. But thank you for handling the question. I think that the way that he said the things that he did in the video was a little bit too strong. And I think that it may have been, in response because he was in front of an audience. I don't think that he would maybe share that privately. I don't know. I don't want to speak for him, but I thought that it was a bit strong. And
we can expand on the topic later on if he wants to respond. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go, man. I'm excited. Now that this very strange year has gotten behind you, only strange in that you're out in the public now. That's what I mean by that. Started back at the Conscious Life Expo. You came on Fade to Black that night, and you were a little bit, you have thousands of people that are following you around, right? And so you went from that, and then you did your presentation later on that night with David Wilcock. And then this year has unfolded in front of you. You've gone out and you've done some presentations. You've done a lot of Gaia stuff. You've done a lot of public speaking and videos. And so here we are today. And I think that your feet are beneath you now. Okay, that's my opinion. I think you're a little bit more comfortable. So what I wanted to do tonight was really go deep. All right, and try to ask the questions that I've never asked of you before. And in doing that, for the audience that is here for the first time, I know this is a long intro to the show, but it needs to be said that there are people here tonight that have heard you speak before, and they're here for something new. So for them, we have that. For the others that have never heard you speak before, they're here, they've heard about you, they're here for the first time. We do need to address those folks as well, too, and get those questions answered. So I want to do a kind of a linear, chronological presentation, and then we will conclude at the end of the night with a bunch of questions that have been sent in to us. All right, you ready to go?
Let's go.
How long, I'm going to start right here. How long has the official version of the SSP, the Secret Space Program, been around?
The official version, okay. Well, there are a number of programs that are considered secret space programs. Some of them date as far back as the Germans during the 1930s and 40s. Later on, we started to make deals with different shadow groups and started to get our hands on some of this hand-me-down technology, and we started to, and also crash retrievals, and we started to engineer our own secret space program, and we started to really work on that in the late 50s and through the 60s, the Americans, that is.
Now, the information that you are going to be giving us from here on out after that answer, is this information that you were given, like, you know, from the glass pad or from somebody off-world, or is this stuff that you have read over time?
Well, the structure of the secret space program, I had to kind of experience it over time to understand it. No one really sat down. Everything was so compartmentalized. No one sat down and said, you know, this group, it has this mandate, you know, et cetera. Now, there was a lot of information that I was given. There was a lot of downtime, and I was allowed to browse through these smart glass pads quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I did gain a lot of my information from those smart glass pads.
Was there information like when did the Nazis first start traveling into space?
Well, they first started developing their technology to where they could do, I guess, exploratory visits back in the 30s.
And was like that piece of information right there, was that glass pad information? Were you able to access Nazi information through that research?
Yes, this was mainly glass pad information, and every once in a while, if I was in a lab that we had set up, and we would call the scientists eggheads, or we were working with engineers, sometimes we would kick back and be looking at the information and discuss it a little bit.
Oh, you know what? For the audience out there that doesn't know what we're talking about, what is the glass pad?
Yeah, the smart glass pad was this, it looked like a piece of just plexiglass when it wasn't activated. And when you would put it on the tips of all 5 of your fingers and activate it consciously with your consciousness, and the see-through plastic would go opaque on you, and then you would start to see either letters in whatever your root language is, or video. You could see video images that would be shown to you that would be like kind of turning around and looking like they were three-dimensionally coming off of the page.
Well, okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
And it would display a lot of information in a summary type way, and then below there were always footnotes you could go into for the more scientific stuff.
I'm so jealous. That's that's exactly what I like to do, and especially with this kind of information. Well, okay, so the Nazis started in the 1930s. And was this a deal with the Draco at that time, or did the Vril actually kick this off?
Well, they had made some of the strides on their own. Some of their scientists had made some pretty good connections in electrogravitic propulsion. So they were already, on their way, but they were having a combination of telepathic assistance, outright assistance to where they had contact with them, and also telepathic manipulation, guiding them and manipulating them remotely throughout their space program process.
Did they have a deal with the Draco? You know what I mean? Was there...
Eventually, yes, eventually they did. For a while, they were searching all through areas like Tibet, looking for ancient manuscripts that had actual technical schematics in them that they were also using to try to build these new wonder weapons.
And with the ability to travel to space, did they at that time have the ability to go to the moon?